Aloha! The Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity welcomes you to our presentation on microgrants for Food Security Program FY24. Our application period January 19th to February 19th, 2026. Today, we will go over the purpose of the grant, eligibility, applications for organizations on an RFP versus individuals, and then a step-by-step individual application process, our timeline, and then closing remarks and our disclaimer.
The purpose of the microgrant for food security is to increase the quantity and quality of locally grown food through small-scale gardening, herding, and livestock operations in areas that have significant levels of food insecurity and which import a significant quantity of food. When it comes to eligibility, we define individuals and organizations differently. Individuals are considered a single human being, whereas an organization might be a nonprofit organization, which might include a religious organization, a food bank, a food pantry, or a federally funded educational facility.
Let's go over the organization RFP. Again, we're talking about organizations. To apply, there's an RFP solicitation posted on HANDS, which is the Hawaii Awards and Notices Data System. Follow the RFP guidelines and submit your proposal via email. You do have to submit a project template, Exhibits A and C. It also requires a 10% cash match, which you need to submit a letter, and also an HCE compliance certificate, which is the Hawaii Compliance Express. Again, these items are for organizations that are applying.
Individuals will apply via an online application at https://dab.hawaii.gov/add/MGFSP/. The rest of this presentation will only be about individual applications.
To apply, you'll go to the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity's website. That site is https://dab.hawaii.gov. You can also Google search Department of Agriculture and get our website. Once you navigate to our website, you'll then go down to the marketing section circled on your screen there and click marketing. You'll then scroll to the purple box that says Microgrants for Food Security Program. The bottom of the box, you'll find a blue checkbox. Click for details, circled. Please click that button.
So let's begin. The application is viewed as follows, and you'll notice that there are several sections in red. Those are all required areas to complete. So we'll start with your primary applicant's first name, last name, phone number, and email address. Now, when it comes to your project address, this is as distinct from your mailing address if so. It must be a physical street address or associated to your tax map key. You cannot use a P.O. box as your project address, and that is grounds for disqualification. Here, the mailing address, it is all right to use a P.O. box, and you can also click same as project address if you don't want to retype your project address again. By checking the box below, you do confirm that you are over the age of 18 and you are a resident of the state of Hawaii.
Selecting a project category. This is very important. Here you will have a choice to choose from A, B, or C. An eligible individual that receives a subaward under this microgrant FY24 program shall use the funds to engage in activities that will increase the quantity and quality of locally grown food for food insecure individuals, families, neighborhoods, and communities via the following activities from the categories listed below. By selecting one category from A or B or C and listing the dollar amount of your expected budget next to the items for your project. This is a fixed amount grant of $5,000 and you may select only one category, A, B, or C. Selecting multiple categories and or not meeting the $5,000 fixed amount will disqualify your application. Again, you'll just be able to select category A, B, or C as listed. Within the category, you'll then select the items for your project, and these are budgeted numbers, and indicate the dollar amount that you are going to budget for each item in increments of $100 in that category. Your total must equal $5,000 in your selected category.
Our first category, A, is respect to gardening projects. So you would check the box near category A if this is what you choose. Feel free to enter dollar amounts under each category that you're interested in utilizing, whether it's purchasing gardening tools, soil amendment, seeds, canning equipment, freezing equipment. If you're using the categories of animals, you please list the animal types related to what animals that you're budgeting for. And if the same goes for when you're using other items. Do keep in mind that you can leave areas blank and that this automatically calculates the amounts that you have entered. Under gardening, it also includes irrigation systems, composting supplies, those wonderful garden grow tower systems, including seeds. Sometimes you might need a high tunnel or a land clearing and labor support, a hydroponic, aquaponic, aeroponic system, any types of educational training. And also if you need to put a temporary fencing or enclosure to protect your garden against feral animals. Again, shipping costs may also be included in your budget. And again, your total that's automatically calculated by the system must equal to $5,000, no more, and also no less, or it will be grounds for disqualification.
Category B is the livestock and herding. Here you would check the box category B, and again, you would fill in your budgeted dollar amount next to the items. If the item doesn't pertain to you, you may leave it blank. But here, an example is for fencing for livestock, poultry, or reindeer. The purchase of actual poultry or livestock, chickens, pigs, cows, etc. Purchase of livestock supplies, feed, related items to store or preserve your harvest. You can also have livestock or agriculture education and training. Creating or expanding livestock, poultry, egg food markets. It also includes chicken enclosures. You may include shipping costs, and if there are other items, the dollar amount, and list the other items that you're selecting. Again, this category must equal $5,000.
Category C is for apiary projects. This might include the purchase of bees boxes, honey processing or beekeeping supplies, education or training, or perhaps you are also going to be creating or expanding the apiary food markets. You may also include shipping costs and other items which must be listed. Again, feel free to leave those blank, which you do not need, and your total must equal $5,000, no more or no less.
This completes the category section. Now let's move on to the project description, your measurables and your outcomes of your project. This is perhaps the most important part because here you're going to tell or describe, I like to refer to it as a story. You describe a detailed plan for your project, an estimate of how much food will be produced over 12 months, how your project will help with food insecurity, how many people your project will feed, support, your household, outside your household, neighbors, friends, ohana. A description of the project area, whether you're going to use your lanai, your backyard, acres, just part of your farm or part of your backyard, a farm plot if you're using a farm plot, or a balcony if you live in a condo and all you have is a balcony. Tell us how the balcony is laid out and what are you going to use. You also need to give us a timeline of how you'll complete your project within 1 year and how you will measure and keep track of the amount of food you produce. This is a limited category for words, 250 words or less. So it's best to be precise and to the point, but tell your complete story.
And you'd want to estimate the number or quantity of food that you plan to produce in the 12-month period. And this is just an estimate, and it is required. So depending on what you are planning to grow or harvest or produce, it might be in pounds, it might be in ounces, gallons, bunches. So for example, if you're going to be growing lemons, how many pounds of lemons are you planning to produce? If you're making honey, how many ounces of honey do you plan to produce? If you're growing basil, how many units or bunches or how many dozens of eggs are you planning to produce? If you are using enclosures, you would want to indicate the number of square feet that you're planning to erect, as well as the number of people in your household, inside and outside of your household that you plan to have as beneficiaries of your project. The next section is, have you previously been a recipient of a microgrant for Food Security Program award? Yes or no? Just keep in mind that it is important that we'd like to give everyone a fair chance at an opportunity to have a microgrant, and so priority will be given to those who have not received an award in the past.
And finally, we'll move on to the acknowledgements. Your application is nearly complete, but you need to answer these read the questions and answer by typing in your full name. So you'll acknowledge a W-9. You will then acknowledge that you will receive a 1099-G form from the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. This is a miscellaneous income, and it does not add on to your earned income. You'll also give us opportunity or release of liability. So again, the state of Hawaii and Department of Agriculture liability is not set with us. You release us if something should go wrong with your project. The next step would be you are agreeing that once your project is done in 12 months, a final report and measurable outcomes with some pictures and documentations will be provided to the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. Required registration. So you type your name in here that you will comply if any project requires permitting, that you will get the required permitting or registration for your project. The next section also indicates that you agree to random audits or inspections by the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity to check over your project to make sure that the project is going correctly. You'll then acknowledge that if you have any equipment that you need to dispose of over $5,000, that you will notify the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. You will then acknowledge the terms and conditions by typing your name below, and the terms and conditions will be set forth to you should you receive a grant. It will be part of the contracting process. You will then agree to purchase only items listed on this application and will provide receipts with your project report at the completion of 12 months. And finally, you acknowledge that you are a resident of the state of Hawaii and that you will complete the project to the best of your ability. If you incur any interruptions, delays, or inevitably not able to complete the project as described, you'll notify the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. You will then check the box that you are not a robot and click the Submit button.
And voila, your application is complete and you will receive an email confirmation of your application.
We have posted a process and project grant timeline on our website. As you can see, the first box on your left is the application period, which is now through February 19. From February 20th till the middle of May 15th, the application review process or the RFP for organizations will be reviewed and scored. From May 15th to July 14th, all the approved applications will then be forwarded to the USDA for their final approval. July 15th to September 15th will be the notification of awards to those that have been awarded and to those that have not been awarded for this grant. September 16th through January 31st, 2027 is the processing period. Here, if you were awarded a grant, we'll be in communication with you as to other documents that are required, along with a contract or letter of agreement that needs to be signed. Upon completion of that, we're looking at about February 1st, 2027, award funds we mailed out via the U.S. Postal Service certified mail.
The following is a disclaimer from the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, as we do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, sex, national origin, age, or disability, or any other class as protected under applicable federal or state law in administration of its programs or activities, and the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity does not intimidate or retaliate against any individual or group because they have exercised their rights to participate in actions protected or oppose actions prohibited by 40 C.F.R. Parts 5 and 7, or for the purpose of interfering with such rights. If you have any questions about this notice or any of the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity non-discrimination programs, policies, or procedures, you may contact Ray G., our non-discrimination coordinator, Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity at 1428 South King Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96814. 808-973-9560 is the phone, and the email is dab.titlevi@hawai.gov. If you believe that you have been discriminated against with respect to a Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity program or activity, you may contact the non-discrimination coordinator identified above. To request translation, interpretation, modifications, accommodations, or other auxiliary aids or services for this RFP, please contact the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity at 808-973-9595 or email dab.md@hawaii.gov. Please allow for sufficient time to schedule and meet these accommodation requests.
And finally, contact information for us. The top left box is the contact for organizations, dab.mdbrfp@hawaii.gov. To the right is our grant telephone number, 808-973-9594 for any questions. For individuals, you'll refer to dab.md.microgrants@hawaii.gov. And again, the telephone number, 808-973-9594. Individual applications, again, are on our website at https://dab.hawaii.gov/add/MGFSP. Again, our application deadline is 12 o'clock noon Hawaii Standard Time on February 19th, 2026. On behalf of the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, we'd like to say mahalo for joining us. We hope that this informational video is helpful for you to complete the application process, and we look forward to your application.